Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Tom, did you know that Scott was supposed to participate remotely?
You're back.
Oh, okay.
Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, no.
Scott, are you able to turn on your video?
Yes, it is. It is.
It's an initial review for the one that I'm going to change.
He's had two of them.
Came up last time. This one did. Okay, all right. It just confused me because it has a number of the same issues.
You've got three.
How many more? How many?
There's another one coming.
Life is good.
That's it for a while. Yeah. This reminds us, do you eventually want the little white note respect? Because we have like, you know, ever increasing numbers of them.
If you don't want them back, I wouldn't refuse them. But if you don't want them, cluttering up your space, no, that would be great. Bring in a box.
Just thinking, I'm not going to give
You don't
them this
cherish
beautiful
these?
note,
You don't
but
cherish
they're a
these
little
things?
pile of them, you know.
I got big ones too.
All your white ones wind up in the bottle.
So I think the black one might have come from you too, we used it, so.
I swear that this used to pop up with Crestron.
Yeah, do the audio setting. I just,
I haven't used it in a while. Maybe that's the reason? So I've got video of me.
Scott, I've asked you to start video. Did that pop up?
How upsetting would it be if we rearrange some seats here?
Oh, it's fine.
If we swap seats, I may have enough internet on that side, so
You bet.
let me just check with them here. But
There you go.
that's-
All right, now we see you. Our issue is now that we only hear you on the laptop, and I'm not sure why you're not coming out on the TV for us. Bear with us.
Should we swap seats and then I can connect?
Yeah, you can do that, do whatever you want to do. Swap seats, you connect.
Every summer
Because
I get this
you're right, the
service
Wi-Fi's not
next
strong
door.
enough here.
Uh-huh.
But
And
if I'm
suddenly
over,
my
if I
internet
just
goes
swap
down 5,
seats
6
with them,
times
I'll
a day.
probably
Bam.
be able to get it. It's worth a try.
I don't think that's what's going on.
I don't know. Why don't you unplug your laptop and
Yeah.
take it over that direction first and see if you get Wi-Fi.
All right, I'll do a test run first.
Okay. Or I can do the slides.
It's amazing what people do.
Yeah, but you were getting audio out over there.
Yeah, I could hear.
Do you have it muted for the podium?
Oh, yeah, it's quite a bit here.
I've got a couple things to do right now.
Is the podium muted?
Sorry, Larry. Okay, George.
Not muted.
Okay, move over one from here.
Okay.
I don't know why we don't have Crestron as a choice.
All right.
this podium mic, the laptop is down low. You need to charge it?
Okay. Name tag? Oh, yeah.
Scott, we're unable to get your output to come out over the speaker here on the TV. So when you need to speak, please give me plenty of time, and I will try and hold the microphone up to the speakers on the laptop where I do hear you.
Okay, so I still have the same capacities, clear mute, okay, that's fine. Because where I am,
Nobody else is gonna try to.
I might have kids coming across, so I want to be able to just, for a few seconds. Obviously, stop the video so they can go by. I don't want to disrupt anything.
Okay.
Well, thank you, and, right, so I guess just be cognizant, when I have to, agree to something or vote. I appreciate, the ability to do that.
We'll do our best.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Start the recording.
All right.
Setting up the broadcast.
And you're up.
Okay. Welcome to the Town of Kennebunkport Planning Board meeting for 6 July 2022. We are via Zoom and in person. And so the first step is attendance. And we are all here except, I guess, Scott, who is here on Zoom somehow. So we have everybody, that's good. Okay, so the first step is approval of minutes from the 15 June meeting. So everybody have issues with it? Okay.
I would move to accept the minutes.
Second.
All right, well, I'll just quick call the roll here. Ed?
Yes.
Nina?
Yes.
Tom says yes.
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Okay, hey, we heard you, all right. So, the first item tonight has been postponed at the request of the applicant. That is 58 Langsford Road. That brings us to item 220-601, 1086 Kings Highway, And once again, Peterson Design Group, Eric Peterson. And
Thank you.
hit it, Eric.
Just making sure this is on.
Yeah.
Is it? It is?
I can hear you.
Okay. Good evening, Chairman Boak and Planning Board members. Tonight, we're talking about a replacement of an existing residence and cottage at 1086 Kings Highway. There's an existing house on the property and an existing cottage that was raised on a pier foundation many years ago. We're proposing that we remove the existing house and the existing cottage and propose to build a new house and a new cottage with a 30% expansion. The house has a 30% expansion of area and volume, but the cottage only has an expansion of volume because we don't have any footprint to expand on. It's too close to the creek, so we're proposing that the footprint of that building stays the same and be built on the same pier foundation that already exists. So need that lit. So we're proposing an overall lot coverage reduction from 49.39% to 48.27%. We propose that the existing cottage remains, as we talked about, the footprint remains the same. The driveway would remain the same, and the existing house footprint would get a little bit smaller in the new version. It's also a little further away from the street. Right now, the house is very close to the property line, and we're proposing to move it back a couple feet so that it is not so close to the road. It falls under the 30% expansion. We are proposing a 27.7% expansion of area and a 29.9% expansion of volume. The house is proposed to be 28'6" high, so it falls under the 30-foot height restriction. And like I said, we've reduced the lot coverage a little bit in order to make it less non-conforming.
Okay, can I ask a question right here?
Yeah.
Before we go too far?
Yeah.
Okay. In your in your application, you state that there was a previous expansion.
That's right. It's a little complicated. So the upstairs bathroom of this house was expanded by about 54 square feet several years ago. So we backed that expansion out of the current as-built numbers to get us back to a pre-expansion basis to then calculate 30% expansion from that. Does that make sense?
Yes, and
So-
then that's the same thing, that was also you had a slight back off in the
In volume as well.
volume, that's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
these owners expanded the upstairs bathroom. They put in a little dormer that expanded the footprint by 54 square feet, I think, and something like 500 cubic feet.
Yep.
So we're backing that off of the as-built numbers to get us back to a baseline number that then is the basis for calculating our 30% expansion today.
Okay.
So we're not double dipping on it can't have two expansions, obviously, so.
Well, I guess that's my question. The land use ordinance states 30% expansion allowable one time only. So you've already done, I mean, it would be a minimal expansion, but one expansion has already happened. So the question is, and I'm afraid we may have to ask the town attorney on this one,
Oh, yeah.
is a second one allowed? Even though it's, I understand it's very small.
I wish Werner were here, because I talked to him about that. He gave me the information about that existing bathroom expansion when I talked to him.
Mr. Chairman?
We've had properties come before the board where an expansion had taken place, but it was not the full expansion, and then they've taken the house down and they have added up to what the full expansion would be, but they never subtracted off a bathroom. Do you know when that bathroom was added on?
Within the last, I think these folks have owned this property for maybe 15 years.
Okay,
So within the last 15 years.
okay. Did that go before the board?
I have no idea. It was not a project of ours. I think a builder, there was just there was a sketch in the file
Yep.
that a builder, I think, put together for when they did that expansion of the bathroom. It was back when Brian Shaw was
Yep.
in the office.
Got it.
It's on the vision statement. Werner knows the history of this and how the 30% came about.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna need to clarify it. I think you can clarify it pretty well.
Yeah, so, I mean, because he's not here, I guess we'll just,
I would hold off on.
we'll
that.
probably hold off on calling this complete until we've talked to Werner at the next meeting.
Fair enough.
But-
Which I can't be at the next meeting, the 20th meeting.
Okay,
My wife has a pre-existing commitment for me that night, so I would ask respectfully if we could table all of the discussion with regard to my projects till the August 3rd meeting.
fine, that's not a problem.
Thank you. I need to tell her to stay away from Wednesdays for a while.
Well, you're the one that just keeps coming here.
Well,
You have to
it's
tell
what
her
I
you have
do.
to make a living, I guess.
What's that?
You have to tell her that you have to make a living. I
Yeah,
guess.
she understands
Anyway.
that. Yeah.
Why don't you proceed? We're going to hold off on.
Fair
on
enough, yeah.
Calling it complete till we talk to Werner.
So I think I've described the parameters for what we're proposing as far as the cottage and the house, volume and area, slight reduction in footprint, getting it further away from the street. It's pretty much the same distance from the lot line on the side as the existing houses. It's a fairly tight lot. You know, none of these lots at Goose Rocks are all that big. So, and like I said, they've got a paver driveway that they put in. So they asked us if we could please try to not disrupt their driveway because they didn't want to have to rip it all out and put it back in again. Are there any other questions I can answer?
How high is the new building and how high was the existing building?
The new building is 28'6" high. The existing building, if I had to, I can tell you that.
That's including the piles.
Including what?
Including the piles, because they're raising it up.
Off the ground?
I can get you a definite answer on that, but the existing building is in the range of 22 feet high.
That's from the ground?
That's from the average original grade, yeah.
And the new one is from the ground also?
The town's definition of height, which is average original grade.
How many bedrooms were in the existing house and cottage total?
1, 2, 3, 4 bedrooms. First floor, 1 bedroom, second floor, 3 bedrooms.
On the house?
On the house, yeah,
The existing house?
the existing house,
And the cottage was 1 bedroom?
1 bedroom.
So you're not increasing the number of bedrooms?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Although it is on town sewer.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just going back to Bannon's letter from your other
Yeah.
application. He's talking about expansion of use, which has to be taken into consideration too. So there's no change here that I see that would be covered by that.
Mhm.
So,
Has that ever come up before as an issue? I mean, if it's a,
yes.
yeah, expansion of use as far as bedroom count?
Not as bedroom count, and I've never seen any case law on it.
Yeah,
But in terms of hotels
Oh, sure.
expanding their hours and patrons and so forth.
Because the use is a residence, right? So the use is the use is the use, whether it's
The
a,
use is the residence, but, I don't know whether expansion of expansion of use of a residence would be counted when you add more people to it. I don't think it would.
is the use category the actual use of the building as a residence rather than the number of bedrooms?
The definition says it's the purpose of the land or the structure. There's
Right.
one other term in that, but
I'm
it's
just trying to drill down
it's
on the term
purpose.
use.
It's the
Yeah,
purpose.
The other use that we've seen on residences is if it's a summer residence.
Right.
And you're
Yes.
expanding it to full year. then
Oh, right.
it-
This is a
that
year-round.
Shows up here.
This is a year-round property
This
right
was a
now.
year-round property before, so that's not changing.
Yep. They have main plates.
That doesn't always mean something.
What's that?
That's good.
Okay. You have trees designated on there, a 14-inch diameter and a 16-inch.
Yeah, we're not proposing to remove any trees.
Okay.
No, the trees are really nicely situated right there now.
Well, some of your windows look a little strange.
A little strange.
Yeah, they don't look like they would have screens on them.
Well, let me see. Let's go over some windows.
And they're on the east side.
Pardon me?
They're on the east side.
On the east side. The windows on the staircase,
Yes.
these, well, those can be operable windows, so they could have screens, although they're casement, so the screens wouldn't be on the outside.
Yeah, they'd be on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Could be problematic, they're high enough.
High enough.
High enough that, you've got shorebirds there, and goose rocks.
Does it matter to you which direction they face? Because these don't face, this house, if you can imagine it facing the water, right? On
Which side?
the creek is behind it, the ocean is across the street and two houses away.
Right.
These windows face the driveway basically, and that grove of trees you were talking about.
Okay, well, that'd be a problem right there if there's a grove of trees there. Something to think about.
Yep. Well, I can, like we've worked very hard with you in the past to try to get as many windows screened as possible.
It's not just me, it's that people don't like to see dead birds in front of their.
No, I know, but I know that it matters especially to you, so I'm respecting your wishes.
It matters to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Are the current windows all screened?
No, that's the problem.
No, the current house has some picture windows and the current house has a lot of different types of windows, to be
Okay,
honest.
so
Some
this
double
isn't-
hung,
This
some,
isn't making the situation worse.
It's not helping it.
most of these windows can be screened, if I'm being honest. Most of them can, because most of these windows are double hungs. And, there's one slider in the back that can have a screen on half of it, obviously. But any of the double hung windows can certainly be screened. And then some of it's under a covered porch, so that's helpful. Some of it's under a roof overhang. So
Roof overhangs help a lot.
we'll do our very
Have
best to
reflection.
have as many unscreened windows as possible. I know it's an issue, so,
Something to consider.
yes.
Your application page says that the exterior footprint is going from 45 by 45 to 46 by 46.
Which sounds like it's getting bigger,
Which
but
sounds like it's getting bigger.
that's if it were a rectangle or a square. And there's really no clear way to describe that, except that the most extreme points, including outside steps,
Yes,
make it 46 by 46, but the net size of the house footprint shrinks.
right, which you're showing
So it's not a pure, it's
showing
not a,
up above 31.4 to down to 30 point.
and that's all taken out of the house footprint,
Yeah.
because nothing else changes as far as hardscape or the cottage. So even though Those are extreme dimensions, but it's eroded within that
Got it.
shape to be smaller.
All right. They just jumped out at me.
I know the way the question is asked leads you to think that it would be an expansion of size when in fact it isn't.
Right.
So when you're increasing the volume there,
Hmm.
where are you increasing it? Are you raising the roof on certain parts?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. On your sketches, it looks like where you have the crawl space,
Hmm.
I forget which side it's on now, whether it's west or east, it's the front of the house. It looks like there are hatch-type doors.
Yeah, we need to provide some access to the crawl space just to be able to get in and service things under there. So there's no basement in this house. There's not proposed to be a basement. It's just on a crawl space. But yes, it's code actually that you need to provide access to that crawl space somehow.
Is it 15 feet?
Say that again?
Is it 15 feet?
15 feet.
Raised from the ground?
15 feet?
The flood level, I'm thinking flood level.
Oh, yeah, the first floor of this house responds to the flood elevation for that area. That's correct.
So how high is it from the ground, basis of the ground to the first floor?
It is. About 3 feet. About 3 feet.
So it really is a crawl space.
Oh, yeah.
And sorry, that 3 feet is from the ground to the bottom of the framing or to the top of the first floor?
To the finished floor.
To the finished floor.
So the finished floor wants to be at 15.75 on this house because the flood elevation for that spot is proposed to be 13.
So the bottom is actually about a foot above the ground level or something, right? It's pretty small.
The bottom of the framing, if you assumed a foot depth for framing, would be, yeah, about 2 feet off the ground.
2 feet.
That's the name, crawl space.
Wow.
And of
So-
course, I mean, it may have a little depth to it. The crawl space might be, I don't know, 18 inches below grade, something like that. You can't go very far. You know, at Goose Rocks, you dig a hole and it fills with water, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So for 2 foot space, I mean, is that, are there any confined space concerns? That's a pretty small.
I wouldn't want to be down there. But no, what I'm saying is, that if it, say we excavate 18 inches below grade, I don't even know how deep the crawl space is that's there now, but it's not all that deep. So if you had 2 feet from grade level to the underside of the framing and then another 1.5 feet, you might have 3.5 feet, which is enough to hunch around down there and, you know, attend to a plumbing need or some electrical issue or something like that. But there won't be any mechanical equipment down there and nothing, we're gonna meet the FEMA standards completely, so all mechanical equipment is in the house, nothing's below that first floor level.
Everyone on the board, we need you to be as close to the microphone as possible. Michael cannot hear you.
Okay,
You're
gotcha.
doing fine at podium.
Okay,
Okay, so the crawl space really is just a dead air space.
that's right. Just
Okay.
in order to access the underside of the structure.
Okay, thank you.
Is the masonry wall staying?
Yes.
Okay, any other questions? Scott, do you have any questions?
Scott, do you have any questions?
I do not, thank you.
Okay.
So I just had one other, you can probably clear it up right away, but you're showing some sort of a masonry wall here.
Yeah,
It looks like it's right on the property line.
that's existing.
Is that a shared, okay, so it's
It's a stone wall.
shared wall between the two lots?
It really only goes to the property line, so.
Oh, okay. But it's shown a, okay,
Doesn't look like that on the survey.
yeah, it shows it being across.
Oh, you're right, it does show it crossing the line. We weren't proposing to change that at all. That's there now, so we were intending to just leave it.
Okay. right, thank you. And then just, okay, in terms of the percentages and the square feet you're showing here, this is the sum of the two places, right? The
Correct.
main house and the
Correct.
little cottage.
That's right.
Is there any benefit into showing how much, particularly on the square feet and volume, how much each of those contributes to the total?
If you'd like me to tease them out, I can probably do that, yeah.
I don't know. Does it matter to I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, I don't have a firm feeling one way or the other. It might, I mean, you must have developed you must have developed that in order to come up with a total.
Oh, I've got scads of calculations on this place, yeah, for sure. I can give you my calculation sheets if you'd like them.
Well, if you just attach them, we can figure.
Oh, God.
I don't know, but you may want to, maybe you want to clarify that it's the sum of the two buildings together somehow. I mean, I know you're saying that.
That's
elsewhere.
exactly what I'm proposing, is the sum of the two buildings together as an aggregated volume and area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that says that in here clearly? I think it does.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, it's
Okay.
fine, thank you.
All right, so I guess what we'd like to do is continue.
May I have?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I had some questions.
Oh,
I'd like to understand in what way this lot and structure is currently non-conforming. I know you're saying you're reducing the non-conformance, but in what way is it non-conforming?
Well, it's non-conforming in that it's more than 20% lot coverage. You know, if it were
Yep.
if it were an empty lot, we couldn't have this much lot coverage. It's non-conforming in that the entire building envelope is within the 75-foot setback from the creek.
Okay, all right.
So ordinarily, we wouldn't be able to build a new structure within 75 feet of the creek. That's why it's only entitled to the 30% expansion.
I'm going to ask about that in a second.
Okay.
But you're saying that the setback
Because it's within the 75-foot swath from the creek.
from the mean high water mark.
The 7.1 number.
I don't know that those are the same thing, but.
That's the
but-
generally accepted upland edge of the extreme effect of the tide or the high water mark is 7.1 is what the town asks us to show on a
Okay.
survey, and then show a 75-foot setback from that.
Where's my buddy? Is that right?
Say again?
Eli?
You're asking me?
I am.
Sorry, I'm not familiar enough to
Okay.
to know, yeah.
Like if we have a project on the beach face lots at Goose Rocks,
So I'm looking at the first sheet here that shows the picture of the cottage and the house.
the survey or the site plan?
At the very first page,
It's the site plan.
Site plan.
site plan it's called.
So if you see
And I see a line on it that says,
seven,
it's got a circle, and it says it's a 75-foot setback from
Right.
elevation 7.0.
so in this case, I'm going to clip this on my board here and then explain it a little bit. So in this case, the creek itself is only 10 or 12 feet wide. And then the surveyor has defined a wetlands line that's somewhat back from the edge of the creek. And they've also defined a 7
Currently, those are wetlands, you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
From the wetlands line to the creek is what the surveyor has told us is wetlands.
Understood.
And they've also given us our 7-foot elevation line, which that throws a 75-foot setback. So this line is throwing a 75-foot setback that is the entire building envelope of this property.
So we would understand then that the shoreland zone extends 250 feet from that same, not even further, but 750 feet from that,
250 feet.
250 feet
from the same starting
from
point.
that same starting point. All
That's
right,
So
okay.
certainly, the whole thing is in shoreland zone, and everything across the street and then some.
Right, but when we're looking at whether we're increasing the nonconformance or making it better, we're going to be looking at what structures, what area the structures that are within that 75-foot occupy.
That's
And,
correct.
and
In
the
this
fact that
case,
you
it's everything.
are eliminating the cottage footprint,
No,
No, he's not.
you're not.
we're proposing to keep the cottage footprint exactly the same. as
You
it is.
are. Okay, so you're not making any change in that.
We're expanding that.
That
volume-
footprint.
The volume, but not the area of the cottage. Because we can't expand this at all. We can't expand the footprint of that cottage at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's over the 7-foot elevation line. So this, we're proposing just a volume expansion.
Because it's in the shoreline zone, it's within the 75-foot.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's in a flood zone if you're under 7 feet.
House and cottage with house and cottage.
Got it.
Moose and squirrel, they might want to change that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, if I were outside the 75-foot line, we'd only be talking about this, it would be a code enforcement project rather than a planning board project. The reason that I'm here tonight is because the whole building envelope for this lot lies within 75 feet of that setback from the 7-foot elevation.
You say it's also within the resource protection zone. Where is that overlay shown on this site plan?
That's the 75-foot setback.
No,
Shoreland is 250 feet.
yes.
Right.
Resource protection is 75 feet.
No.
Yeah,
You say yes?
I do say yes. It's gotta be 75 feet from the creek, but the whole thing is in the shoreline, which is 250 feet from the shoreline.
The fact that it's within 75 feet doesn't mean it's resource protected.
Yes.
No,
It's also in the shoreline zone.
it is in the shoreline zone.
That's right,
There's many places in the town that are shoreline zone,
yeah.
that 75-foot edge of it is not considered resource protection. It's only when it starts being in the floodplain or when it's protected wetlands or whatever, that there's some secondary reason that it's resource protection. It's not the 75-foot that engages that, to my understanding.
Okay.
But we can consult with Werner the next time on that, but,
Yeah, there are situations exactly like you're describing it.
yeah.
But in this situation, it's, you know,
You believe that the resource protection does come all the way to the 75-foot
that 75-foot is the resource protection.
because it is below the floodplain?
Is it because of what it's adjacent to that deems it so?
Jason?
Yeah, it's because
Creek,
it's within
75
75 feet of the resource. I know what you mean. There are situations where
Like in
it's
Dock
not,
Square, it's only 25 feet, isn't it, in some
Yeah.
areas?
and I'm not familiar enough with that.
And it's also in the sand dune, so we had to get a sand dune permit for this too. It's in,
So
So
you're-
it's in
anyway,
back
you're
dune.
saying that the 75-foot mark here is resource protection, and it's also shoreline zone. So we are
It's Goose Rock Zone,
entirely
resource
within.
protection, shoreline zone, and back dune.
Okay.
Yep,
Sand dune.
yes.
And it's also non-conforming because it doesn't meet the setback from the road.
It sure doesn't. That's right.
And
You're
could
moving it
we,
back, so
could
that's
we
your-
But
please
move it- but moving it-
quantify that?
They're moving it back, but not enough to make it conforming there.
I can't make it
There's no
conform.
building on it.
I would have to be 20 feet from the road to make it conforming. It's very much like 2 Main Street, when we did 2 Main Street, where the further you push it away from the street, the closer you're pushing it toward the resource. So we're trying to find that balance where we pushed it no further back than the existing house, but we squeezed it back from the street as much as we could too. I mean, there's just not a lot of space to go here, and I tried not to make it any closer to the setback line, and I tried not to make it any closer because we've got to maintain our 400 square feet of parking to meet our
And
parking.
it's not conforming on this right side of the wall either, I don't believe.
It's not
It's not
conforming,
conforming anywhere.
no, which is why we're here. I mean, the thing is, technically, if Werner were here, he would tell you this property doesn't have any setbacks. because once you're all within 75 feet, your setbacks dissolve, basically. You try not to make them worse. You know what I'm saying?
No,
That's a new one for me.
I don't know what you're saying, but that's okay.
Well, because if I,
So I just wanted to know how far back from the street it was, and you're saying less than 20 feet.
oh yeah, it's only
But you don't know how far?
5.5 feet back from the property line. From the street, from
To-
the actual street, it's another,
But from the property line today, it is,
today it's more like 3.5 feet. So we're pushing it back 2 feet.
I thought the setback is from the street. Do I have that wrong too?
No, it's from the property line. Like in this case, this darker line is the property line,
Okay,
but the street's out here. So as the crow flies, it's another 12 or so feet to the street, and these folks have a fence, at the sidewalk. So your eye would tell you that this property line was at the sidewalk, but it's really
okay.
8 feet inboard from that.
So it doesn't meet the front setback, it does meet the side setbacks?
No.
No,
Side setback in this case would be 15
15
feet.
feet? And it's not?
No, but I didn't make it
Oh,
any
I
worse.
see. Okay.
I didn't make it any worse than it was now.
Okay, it's 3.5 feet versus 20, and it's 15 feet, it's 13 feet versus 15. And again,
Right.
it's,
Very much like 2 Main Street was the same way, where we moved it back from the street just as much as we could,
So-
but
so
no
to-
closer to the water.
today, a part of the house is just barely outside of the 75 feet. You've pulled it back inside.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's true. The front corner of the house does poke over the 75-foot line. That's right.
But would you be able to say that the footprint of the house that is within the 75-foot has not increased?
It has decreased. It has decreased.
It has decreased,
Yes.
okay. It obviously doesn't meet lot size.
No. No, it's not 40,000 square feet. Nope.
And the use is non-conforming. Okay.
Well, the use is conforming.
It's residential in the RP
The
zone.
use is conforming
so
in
it's not.
GRZ, but yes, everything
So
else about it is non-conforming.
Yeah.
Yep.
So help me understand where the existing house is. I see dotted lines
That's, yeah, the
on this site plan. I don't have a separate site plan for
Can I
for the
approach
existing.
you and
Yeah,
point
please.
it out?
Absolutely.
This line is the front of the existing house. And this is the existing porch, and that's the existing house.
Inside, outside. What's going on back here?
That, we're taking that away. That's
No,
part
no,
of
no,
the
but
existing
it
house.
looks like it goes.
Right, we pulled it back.
This line here, is that the outside of the existing house?
That's the outside of the existing house, and that's part of the existing house, and then this line is,
So this is all new?
yes.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. I wanted to ask about the statement in the application, Eric, about we believe that this I'm quoting here, "We believe that this location, where we're moving it to, results in a structure that is the least non-conforming." I didn't understand that.
Well,
You think
because
it's
we have
less non-conforming, I understand, but what do you mean by the least non-conforming?
The least
Well,
non-conforming.
you had other choices that were more, or?
I guess I should say that it's less non-conforming. You're right. If I picked my words more carefully, I should have said that it was less non-conforming.
That's all you mean?
Yes.
least non-conforming would mean they take away parts of the house.
Or take away the house, right.
Yeah, oh,
Still be
okay.
non-conforming, but they just add the cottage.
Fabulous, yeah.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
We have a question.
Scott's got one.
Okay.
Yeah, Frank's.
Just prior question, perhaps second question before that. Couldn't your answer be, it is a legal non-performing, it's a legal conforming entity? It's a
The
legal
use,
non-conforming entity.
a non-conforming entity. Well, the structure is non-conforming because of where it's located, but the use is conforming by Goose Rock Zone, the residential use.
The use is non-conforming in the RP zone,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes.
and it is in the RP
Yes.
zone.
Yes, right. You
So-
couldn't build that new.
It's legally non-conforming
Thank
in the RP zone, to be clear. I just wanted, I like when we write up the findings, I find it helps me to list, this is the way it came in. It's non-conforming in these specific ways.
Gotcha.
And that's how we conclude that it is no more non-conforming. Having answered all of the questions and looked at it,
I see. That's how you're approaching
yeah,
it.
it's a tick box type of approach for me.
Is-
That's why I'm pushing on it.
So can I ask you, the way I've written this, does that help you get to that point, or?
Yes, except, I think we didn't, I couldn't just go down and pick off the fact that it was non-conforming in that here's what the existing setbacks are. I mean, I can find them now that you've helped me in the drawing.
Gotcha.
Here
Yeah,
it's-
there's no form for, there's no line for that on the application, so maybe if we do it in text, maybe that would. I would like to make these as
Yeah.
easy for you all to review as possible, so any information you can give me for feedback is very helpful.
Understand. Yeah, it's just, you went to some trouble to try to understand that you didn't want to make it any more non-conforming.
Right.
I want to know, what were the items that you considered? It's not any bigger a structure, the area, the lot, you hit right away, the lot coverage hasn't gone up. There's no more of it within the 75 foot. The setbacks, here's what they were, here's what they're proposed. And, to answer those 5 or 6 or questions, done.
Okay, that's good advice. Thank you.
Did Scott ever have a question?
He did, and it was handled.
Okay. And you?
A couple of things, and thank you. And Nina's not the only member. There are other members of the board who have concern about bird strikes. It's just Nina gets to speak before the rest of us. And that's fair. On the second page of your application, it says, describe new structures addition proposed. It says, replace existing house and cottage with new house and cottage. And I think that's where some confusion came up, is the idea that you were also replacing the cottage. So if someone could strike out the and cottage, that would help clarify that.
Well, we are replacing the cottage.
In place.
In place.
Well, with a volume expansion, but no footprint expansion.
Okay,
Yes.
right.
From a bird's eye view, that cottage won't be changing.
I see. I should have read it more carefully.
Well,
on
just to be supportive, and since you asked about
Yeah.
making things easier
Yeah.
for us, that's kind of a non-statement, right? We're replacing the old ones with the new ones.
Well, we're replacing an existing house and cottage with a new house and cottage,
Yeah, you're correct.
All right, fair enough.
is what I meant to say, if that didn't
No,
come
you got
across
it.
clearly.
And there's certainly a bit of wizardry to get to where you got. To do all this, and also my understanding is if this were a vacant lot, you couldn't even put a picnic table there.
That's right.
But there is no building envelope. Every single detail is non-conforming for one reason or another. And what you've done is create something that is still absolutely 100% non-conforming, but less non-conforming than it was before.
That is the spirit of what we were trying to do, and yes, and that was done by shrinking the footprint of the house.
And increasing volume, I don't know where it all up and
Upward,
out and
upward.
around, and it's quite a feat. What might help, and I don't know that it needs to be done for this, but on the site plan where you have the dotted line
Yes,
that shows the existing structure, if that could pop out a little bit more, like maybe the existing structure were shaded.
oh, okay,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just so visually, we look at it and we go, okay, there's where it is. Here's where we're gaining this better aspect of it, because just with this property, it's a little confusing. And that's all I had, thanks.
Thank you for that. That would be helpful.
So, now has everybody,
I had just one.
Oh, go ahead.
no, I think you could save it for a couple months from now.
So I had just one more, so I appreciate this. And on the first page here, and as you mentioned, Eric, the elevation of the finished floor is 15.75 feet for the main house, right?
That's right.
Is that going to be the same thing for the new cottage?
They already raised it so that the current cottage already meets the flood elevation.
Okay.
The current foundation for that,
So are you going to reuse existing foundation then,
on the cottage.
on the cottage?
Yes,
Okay,
yep.
So
Right.
it's already raised?
hmm
great, good, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to suggest we continue the public hearing, or continue the initial hearing until next time when Werner is here, or not next time, because you can't be here.
Right, he comes back on the 19th, I think.
But you can't be
I
back.
can't be here on the 20th,
So he'll be here for the 3rd.
but I'll be here for the 3rd.
So we'll continue this until August 3rd. Do we do a motion on that, or?
T-
I'll make
Tom,
a
would the-
motion to
would-
continue the application in initial review until August 3rd.
Just to clarify, would that preclude having a public meeting on the 3rd?
Yes.
Yes. Because we haven't
Okay.
rendered the application.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It would mean you'd have to come back on the 17th.
No, there was just, if that was going to be a hardship, we could pursue answering that question before the meeting.
oh,
And if the answer came back favorable, as Eli suggests it might, and as Eric is saying that Werner led him to believe, then he wouldn't incur the delay. If it's no matter, then this is easier.
well, that would be great if you don't mind doing that legwork before the 3rd meeting.
Can we do that without the applicant present?
In other words, we would have to frame it, if we couldn't confirm with the code enforcement office that the land use ordinance should be interpreted to be to allow a 30% increase in a two-stage approach. If that is allowable, then we would have the public hearing. And if not, then the application is problematic.
So
Public hearing on the 3rd.
so the only way to
That would be my
do
thought.
that would be a motion that
To-
said that it was complete pending
Confirmation
Confirmation.
that this is allowable.
that this is allowable.
Yes. That sounds
And
like what
we
I'm
will
trying to
get
say.
that in within 2 weeks. By the time of our next meeting, we'll have that conversation.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think Werner comes back on the 19th.
If that's
So-
okay, then I had the same question written down as you did.
Yeah.
Is this okay? But, so I'm with you on that question, and I read the land use ordinance, and I thought I could read it, that it was okay, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great question, but I suspect it's going to come back that it's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that
So
workaround, if it works.
We haven't decided yet.
Right, no,
Just a
for the,
second.
for the,
How
for the
to do it.
thinking.
how to do it?
Yeah.
Does it?
Well, so,
Except as complete contingent upon.
Contingent upon, at the next meeting, whether Eric's here or not, we can declare it complete.
yeah, but will Werner be here at the next meeting?
Werner will be at the next
Yes.
meeting, right?
The 3rd.
No,
No,
20th.
because we're talking about July.
Oh, even
he will
What?
be here on the next meeting.
Next meeting is going
Oh.
to be July 20th.
20th.
oh,
Can
even,
we,
that's perfect.
can we do that then without the applicant present? They don't have to be present for us to approve it? To,
All we're doing
Yeah.
is we're not asking any questions
No,
of
we're just
Eric.
confirming the question
We're
that we've already
confirming.
assumed
Yeah.
in our acceptance of completion.
will your wife let us notify you of that?
Oh, he's wise enough.
What's that? Oh,
Will your wife let us notify you of
Yeah,
that?
I'm sure she will.
Okay.
I'm glad she's not watching this. I get myself in trouble here.
Okay, so-
Bobcat humor.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So,
Basically, you're voting tonight on whether to make the application complete, to render the application complete, on the basis that Werner
So,
indicates
Where
that,
it confirms that,
that 30% expansion can be completed in 2 stages, 2 or more stages.
or Eric gives us his proxy that says it's okay for us to rule on completion without him at the next meeting.
No,
Don't have to. Next meeting, if Werner is here and he gives us the information, we can approve the application as complete without the applicant here and still hold a public hearing on the 3rd when the applicant can return.
yeah.
That sounds
the way-
good.
That's the way we have to do
Yeah.
it.
Well, we're all going to law school here. This is great.
Who gets to make that motion?
So-
I move to defer our decision on completion until the next meeting.
Got it. So if you get a favorable response from Warner, then you can, in my absence,
Market complete.
Mark
say
it
that it's
complete
complete.
or not.
Or not.
Gotcha.
If
I
we mark
gotcha.
it- If we don't mark it complete.
I said if,
Because
yeah.
there's
Yeah,
an
yeah.
issue, then your next meeting on August 3rd is continuation.
Same as it
of the
would have
initial
been
meeting.
Gotcha.
And that would mean
2
that we
minutes
can
ago,
hold a
yeah.
public hearing on the 3rd of August. With that
If
completed.
Werner says yes, we can hold the public meeting on the 3rd.
Yeah,
Can I ask a further clarification? to-
yes,
You will have to.
We have to put it on the agenda for next week.
as a continuation of the initial
of the
review.
initial meeting.
Yes.
And
Has to be on the next meeting.
Does that advice from Warner have to come in the form of a planning board meeting? Or can it be something that's answered, over the desk?
He'll be at the next planning.
We'll ask him before, but the board has to declare approval at a planning board
Gotcha.
meeting.
So you'll have your answer long before the meeting?
We hope so.
2 days, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, no, not long before the meeting, because he comes back the day before the meeting.
17th is what
Right,
I've
so
been
we'll have
told.
it the
Yeah.
day before.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Okay.
It's 30% or more during the lifetime of the structure.
Yeah,
That's what I read.
that, yeah.
I think it's going to be okay, but
Yeah, it is.
which is why I didn't,
Because I've been through the history with Werner.
okay.
I feel like this must have come up before. I'm trying to think of a project we've done that had an incremental expansion
We're
like
getting
that.
old though, Eric. We forget stuff.
Me, I am, yeah. Mostly you haven't.
Mostly they haven't, because the law changed. There was a different requirement, there were different criteria, but it changed in 1989, I think it was, the date that's on here, if you talk to Werner.
There was the shed too, remember the shed? The shed that had never been completely approved, but yet there the shed was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With volume and square footage.
Right, which is, you'll see that on our next application, the one for, the one on 11 Bellwood.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
Took an expansion in 1990, so they already used their expansion. So
Yeah.
that one's not seeking an expansion, it's only
Mm.
seeking a reconfiguration.
I think we have a motion on the floor.
I think so.
Yeah, so is the motion to approve the application complete subject to?
No. No,
To,
it-
subject to?
I'll say again.
All right.
I move to defer this decision on completeness, postpone to the initial review completion until the next meeting.
So it's just a regular, we're just
Continue.
continuing to the next.
Continue,
just tell-
thank you.
tell
Just
Eric-
continuing the initial review.
Oh, I know, it's been so simple. I don't understand why we're talking about it so much.
It's the COVID.
So,
I move to continue the initial review until the next meeting.
Second.
okay, so I'm going to go, I'm in favor.
I can hardly wait to see the minutes.
I declare all other motions moot.
Yeah,
Yes.
Larry?
yeah, approve, yeah.
Scott?
Scott's asleep.
Scott said approved, okay. So we'll see you in 4 weeks.
Correct. And best case scenario, you get a favorable reply from Warner, and you're able at the next meeting to deem it complete.
At which point
Yeah.
you.
He has your email, the office, April has your email.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so.
April's my
you'll-
email
you'll
buddy,
be
yeah, oh,
fine.
yeah,
You'll be fine.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
One more
Thank you, sir.
thing, but and if it isn't obvious to everybody, I'm going to ask Ed to do the case manager.
Oh, I'm
on this
fine,
one.
sure.
Look, I see all your notes, figure.
I haven't had one in several meetings.
Okay,
I turned a
that
blind,
brings us-
blind
Thank
eye
you.
to the last one.
Brings us to item 220602, Heritage Woods, Briggs Way Heritage Housing Trust.
dealing with this
Larissa Crockett, Executive Director, is that you?
That is me, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Considerable discussion.
So, why don't you proceed with your presentation, and we'll talk about it.
Sure. So I'm here to request a minor revision to a subdivision plan on Briggs. So the Heritage Woods subdivision includes both Briggs Way and Tiger Lily Way. And on Briggs Way, in the approved plan, there is a sidewalk that runs along one side of Briggs Way adjacent to the homes. We are here requesting that that sidewalk not be required. Couple of reasons why. First and foremost, the residents do not wish to have a sidewalk. They would prefer to have the landscaping come directly to the road. They do not feel the need for any sort of sidewalk. It's a dead-end road that does not even have the possibility of ever connecting into any place else, nor are there any sidewalks that it connects to on School Street. It would be a sidewalk with two dead ends. From the Heritage, the Kennebunkport Heritage Housing Trust perspective, we also were really looking forward to finishing this project up and just wrapping it. I hope you've maybe had a chance to drive by in the last couple of weeks and notice that we have loam going in, hydro seeding taking place. We hope to have, by the end of this landscaping season, that project completely finished. If we were able to not have the sidewalk going in, then we can better use those monies to complete that work and just have this project be finished. So we are here to just request that the sidewalk that attaches neither to the street nor to anything at the end of the dead-end street not be a requirement for this subdivision.
Okay, so to clarify, you put this, first off, the drawing that was in your package didn't seem to have a sidewalk on it. But
I'm sorry, it should have. There was, I did not come with big printouts. I don't have a printer. I apologize for that.
I can put it on the screen.
Okay.
Can I help with that?
Yes.
I agree, Tom. I didn't see it on there either, but I will tell you that in the findings of fact, it says Briggs Way is compliant with the private right-of-way specification in 12.2.B.2.F,
Yes.
which includes sidewalks.
Yes.
Okay, so I think the only thing here is an omission of a request for waiver of that requirement when this was initially before the board.
Right.
There's no sidewalks on anything else that's up in that area.
I would
I know we
concur.
would have granted it.
I would concur. So I'm only in week 4 of my position, so I cannot speak to the previous conversation surrounding this. But members of the board that were present during the initial subdivision review process do remember conversations where actually one of your board members said, "Do you want to, waive the sidewalk?" And they kicked themselves for not having accepted that offer at the beginning. So that's where we are right now.
Well, that makes me
Anyway,
feel better, actually.
What we are asking for at this point, right now, item J in that paragraph says sidewalks shall be installed within all subdivisions within or partially within areas designated as growth or transitional areas in the comp plan. And if they're adjacent to existing sidewalks. I had the code enforcement check out both of those things. And there obviously is no sidewalk on Main Street, so you're not connecting to one. However, you are in a growth area, so you do need a waiver.
Yes.
So we will waive it, I guess. At least as far as I'm concerned, we can
I would
waive it.
propose to waive that requirement.
So we need to first take a vote on the waiver, and then I can write a finding of facts. It's easy. I wrote the last one.
Okay.
So, anyhow, I guess I move we waive item J on sidewalks for this project.
Second that.
Okay, and I'll just go around. I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
Larry, Nina,
In favor.
And Scott? And Scott's in favor. Okay, so,
Thank you.
so we are granting the waiver, and I will then produce then we have to have a public hearing in 2 weeks
Yep.
on this topic. And I will have prepped a finding of facts in preparation, in assumption that we know what'll happen with
Okay.
the thing.
The residents of Briggs Way have all offered to come and speak at that public hearing on, to make very clear that they support having no sidewalk. Would that be helpful to you?
They don't have to actually show up,
they-
they could write a letter.
Okay.
You could, write a letter would probably be just as easy, or they could call in on Zoom or show up or whatever.
Or email.
Yeah. Email to April.
Okay.
I have a hard time imagining that there's an abutter who would object unless you've really upset some neighbor. You guys seem like good neighbors.
We're doing our very best.
So, anyway, we've.
Looks
we've moved
great.
the Waiver, but we'll, talk to it at the public hearing on the 20th.
Great. I will
and
be here.
We'll see you then.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Okay, and then, as I said, I'll take it as case manager since
Thank you, Tom.
already, I can tell because the FOF they included discussed deviations instead of waivers, which is my own throwback to working with the government,
There you go.
There we go.
where waivers and deviations were different.
Waiver means they're giving you something, that's right.
So,
Quid,
anyway,
quid pro quo.
so I will take one more motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
We are adjourned.